Hey, onegaishimasu. Tonight we're going to try and do a little bit of Seiyunchin. Been a lot of requests for detailed video, YouTube clip on the building blocks, the fundamentals of Seiyunchin. And the dilemma we face tonight is space. Second problem that we face is Seiyunchin is a very long kata, and with that in mind we may do it in sections or in pieces so that it can become a series, maybe 2 or 3 series on the kata. Okay, so very important is the name of the kata. Seiyunchin is to grab, seize, pull in combat, and it is a kata that is a little different from the building blocks of Goju Karate for children, which is Gikserechi and Giksereni. Then we start moving to a very short, very complicated movement kata in cipher, and then we get to Seiyunchin with a lot of shikodachi and a lot of heaviness and somewhat slow, especially at the beginning, and then with a change up of speed later on, and very oriental, very Chinese in its makeup. So a lot of open hand techniques, very few closed hand techniques, and then typical to what is Goju, when you're using closed hand techniques, there is a flurry of techniques that happen, or it is a simultaneous blocking and striking kind of mentality or action that is taking place. So in my childhood, I heard that the kata had very strong links to various Chinese martial arts, and one of the things that I always remember is watching a Bruce Lee movie and watching him do this with a partner, and immediately running to the dojo and saying to the sensei at the time, "Sensei, Seiyunchin like Wing Chun," and like the early Wing Chun that you see in some of the Bruce Lee movies. And Sensei just said, "Well, karate is Chinese. Karate is not a Japanese art form. Its origins are in China, and we have to accept that." Okay, so on with the kata. I am a member of the OGKK, and I fall in under Kikugawa sensei, and even within the OGKK there are some discrepancies and some questions about how the kata is done. There are a lot of videos from Onaga sensei doing the kata with some of the things that he likes. For instance, there's an extra sweep or two that we see in their kata, and I might be very different and very wrong from what my sensei wants, Kikugawa sensei, and what the OGKK says. So for all intents and purposes, this is a very generic Seiyunchin video to help people get a gist of the kata. Okay, so when you step, you want to step at 45 degrees, and you want to open into a nice shikodachi. And a couple of ways of viewing this is for placement. If you open your feet into a one-sided zen kutsudachi and then turn that leg, that would give you around about 45 degrees. Okay, so if I go from here, mesugidachi, if I straighten this foot and make my hikodachi this way and then go out, then I can reverse engineer where that foot needs to go. So that's how, maybe put a cone or some kind of marker so you get an understanding of that angle. Okay, so 45 degrees, zen kutsudachi's back leg rotates out, you drop into shikodachi, your legs open, your body weight settles, and as that happens, hands are going to come up, and the feeling at this point is that my hands have risen. And as I drop into my stance, ever so subtly, I'm going to tighten the lats and pull down and drop my hands into the opening position. Okay, so some schools round, some schools round, some schools fold and bring in. Okay, whichever one works for you, whichever one your sensei says, that's the one you do. So round, generally stop below the chin, but not underneath your chin. Hands are slightly in front of you. Start making fists, bring your hands down and open. Open your hands together. Cover your body. Block and stop and chamber. So same time. 1. Grab on, don't move the elbow. Pull, nukite. So, positioning, about fist from where your gi crosses over, like Seiyunchin, open, move back so you got more clear view, and drop, elbows in line with the ribs, and already that first move, up, and settle and tighten. Okay, and then I'm in that position, arms approximately 90 degrees, ideally fingers together, thumbs in hand position, not turned in, not turned out, smack bang in the middle. Okay, like I said, you can go underneath and up, finishing just below the chin. You can go forward, round, finishing just below the chin. You can fold, finishing below the chin. Seen all three, done all three. I'm very confused sometimes because I know all three. Okay, do what your sensei says. So, 1, make fists by bringing your fingers together. Some schools teach these knuckles must lock as you pull down. Now, this is difficult because if you're trying to keep your elbows tight, what tends to happen is you tend to seize, or your hands need to go out in front of you, or your elbows have to lift. The moment your elbows lift, you don't have pulling power downward. Okay? However, if you use these knuckles here, then your hands can naturally push a little bit forward, keeping your wrist straight, and it allows you to pull your hands down. And then they both will settle above the knees. Okay, so 1, grabbing, seizing, drawing in combat. Grab, seize, draw, break free. Okay? Because of the angle of the body, the block can't be just here because that means I'm only protecting this. What about this half of the body? And if that was the case, maybe the kata would have been done this way. So my body is 45 degrees and I'm protecting essentially this part of my body. So from here, my hand must cover my body. Okay? So block with the palm heel, tighten. And that tightening is the neck that tightens. This hand, 1. And this hand, normal chamber or hikite, straight wrist. Please don't keep it bent. Straight. All right, next move. I've seen schools go, watch that again, over and around, similar to Hikuke. I've seen schools do back, downward pressure, pull, and I've seen people do round and pull this way, and that ever so subtle last one. That's what I'm working towards, is the subtlety of the last movement. And then together. I've seen this, but the likelihood is I'm on the outside and my opponent's attack is here. I'm grabbing here, pulling in. So they're here, not necessarily here. And anyway, in real life, I would change it. And if I'm standing this way in real life, facing head on, my opponent is kicking me in between the legs. So we're here. Okay, first movement. It's repeated 3 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So the third time, the chamber hand drops onto the spear hand. I have seen emphasis placed on round. I've seen people just put their hand up. Imagine that you're grabbing on here now and you're pulling this way. So 1, pull, turn, hit, and seen front 2 knuckles make contact as well as pinky knuckle. Front 2 knuckles, I don't know why you'd have this hand here other than it being a block, some kind of holding technique, some kind of locking technique. Back of the hand supporting makes more sense for the explanations I've been given, that this hand, the open hand, is a supporting hand to protect the bones across the forehand, the bottom of the hand and into the wrist. Okay, so 1, 2, in, round, hit. Now, obviously, Onaga Sensei has sweep, and you have to do that. You can do sweep. If you wish to just move and hit, and move and hit, and again, it's up to your sensei. Know both. If you're like me, having to fit into many different hats from time to time, then know both because it needs different bunkai. Okay, so here, 1, 2, 3. Slide back, Sanchin, vertical fist. This hand should not move forward. This hand should move back. This hand starts to press, press. Then small scoop and parallel to the floor. 1, vertical fist, thumbs up, right? Parallel to the floor. From the front, 1, 2, 3. Watch out that this is not going to the side, perfectly straight, parallel to the floor, hand on the top. Seeing this as well. For me, the hand is perfectly flat. For neat shape, a perfect square. Okay, that means I'm tightening all these muscles, and this is completing the side of the square. When I move now, 145 degrees. Move a little bit back. So from here, 45 degrees. This hand, open hand, simply comes up, meets this fist. As you turn, your block is created. Okay, please don't waste energy doing a very big block. So from there, small and 1. So right leg will be in front, right hand is doing Judanuke. This hand is supporting. The hand position is critical for us. If your hand is like this, it denotes that you might be coming from a different school of karate, maybe Shitoryu. Hand like this, more likely you're doing Goju Ryu. What's essential for us is what's happening in the torso, the tightening of the core. Please don't block past. keep it within the frame of your body. So if I move here so that you get a nice camera angle, imagine I'm on 45. For me, lines and angles are critical, so I tend to favor the idea of not stepping straight to the center and not stepping in line with the foot position at the back, but rather stepping onto the front line so that I get good position for the next move, which is gedan berai, back, gedan berai. Okay, hand position behind the knee, ever so slightly, and move back behind the knee, 45 degrees. No funny cocking of the wrists. If it is a punch, that's the position of your hand, but behind your knee, 45 degrees. More important is what happens with your body and the shoulder blades and the chamber hand. So, first one, I called them both gedan berai, but the first one is a lot shorter than the second one because it's already starting in a high position. So this hand is already in the high position. So it's essentially just going to go over the top and from there complete its block as it closes. 1. Try and turn that end. Back. 2. The stepping here is really difficult. So when we step onto that front foot line, just make sure we get all of this in. Onto that front foot line, 1. My hips hop, rotate my body. Feet come past one another here and back 2. Okay, the shortest distance between any 2 points is a straight line. So the moment I do that, my foot and my body is traveling in a larger distance, so it's going to take longer. So that step up of speed is created by hip and very linear stepping. And when I get to the second one, obviously I want to finish as the hip rotates into that block. Imagine on the third move, 1, 2, 3. 1, step through 45 degrees towards the front and short gedan berai and back, straight line, big gedan berai. When I step up, this foot is facing the front. Just going to rotate slightly. This hand is going to rise up. It's going to come and meet this hand as this hand goes onto your midline, and I rotate. And as I rotate, I'm onto the second sequence, the other side of the body. Left hand doing the block, and everything is as for the right side. Okay, the only difference here is you're going to have a slightly bigger movement because our hand isn't in the upright position already. Okay, so the hand's going to have to lift up and meet. Okay, so let me go through that again. We finished 45 degrees to the right hand side. Third movement, gedan berai, coming backwards. We're now doing to the left hand side, 45 degrees. Chamber hand comes to your solar plexus. This hand meets it there and tighten. Okay, and again, 45 to staying in camera, 2 and 3. If you watch me do any corridor karate, you'll see there's a lot of shifting feet. Okay, so we finished. Let me put the camera down a bit for you. We finished and we're here. And we're now going to move from the 45 straight back. So as we move up, try and bring your feet together, knees together, and cover. This hand is doing the first block. 1. This hand is catching and receiving. It's exactly the same as doing OGKK, or rising block. Hands are both open. And then as I move back, the rotation to facilitate the grab. This hand flat. Yes, there are schools that teach bent wrist, looking out from underneath the hand. There are schools with a high arm. There are schools with slightly lower arm. This is very critical. You want to get that head back, pulling and turn that head. That's why we do warm-ups. Okay, you ever wondered why you do that funny left-right look in your warm-ups? It's to strengthen your neck muscles and to create flexibility for this type of movement. So, 1. Move back. 2. Okay, so this hand is coming past your body. Catch, pull, pull, and strike. Okay? 1. Really want to try and get those fingers together and closed. Obviously, you'd be looking in the direction of the attack, and that would be the front.